Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do a video all about some of my most anticipated reads of 2021, some of my most anticipated romance books. For this video, I'm just going to be talking about the sequels that I'm excited for. I'll be saving some of the standalones and the first books in some new series in my next video. So here are all the romance sequels that I'm excited about releasing in 2021. I'm going to be talking about them by month, by their release date month. Of course, some of these release dates are subject to change. But first, before we get into the January 2021 romance releases, I wanted to talk about the books that don't have specific release dates. These are the sequels that are slated to release in 2021, but they don't have a specific release date. And the book that I am most excited about of these releases is Death by Lacey. This is book 4, the fourth and last book in the Four Horsemen series. It's a fantasy romance series about the Four Horsemen, and we have been waiting for Death's book for so long. If you have read the series, if you're a fan of the series, Death is probably the one that you've been most excited about, like he is mine. So I'm pretty sure it's coming in 2021. There's just no specific release date. Famine book 3 just came out in October, so we probably have still a bit of a wait for Death. Another upcoming release I'm excited about is The Bride Bed by Tessa Dare. This is a historical romance, book 4 in the Girl Meets Duke series. There have been some changes with its release date. They put a placeholder date on Amazon for 2024, but I'm just still hoping that it's coming out sometime in 2021, which is why I'm keeping it in this video. It's an enemies to lovers romance where the main characters have made a pact with each other that if they're still single in the next 10 years, they will marry each other. It sounds fabulous. I really enjoy the series so much, so this is definitely one of my most anticipated historical romances. Two other historical romances that I'm excited about are A Scandalous Kind of Duke by Mia Vinci and Kalia Reed's next book in her Belgrave Dynasty series. I have no idea who or what Mia Vinci's book is about. I loved her debut, the first book in the series, which is why I'm excited for more. She's one of the few indie historical romance authors that I enjoy. Kalia Reed is another one, but mainly because her previous series was a time travel romance series, and then this Belgrave Dynasty series is set in the early 1900s. The second book doesn't have a title yet, no release date, but I'm still hoping it's going to be coming out in 2021. We do know that it is about Natalie from the Surviving Trace series, and in King of the South. At the end of book 1 in this series, we got a hint about what her story was going to be about, and I'm just so excited. Some other books that are supposed to be coming out next year are the 5th and 6th books in the Crime Lord series by Mia Knight. Mia was supposed to release these two by the end of 2020, but then these books became way too long, so now I don't think there's that much of a wait for these last two books in the series. It's a mafia romance series, dark romance. The first 3 books are about Gavin and Lila, and I love their romance. I haven't read book 4 yet, which is the start of a different couple, a different heroine who is in a love triangle, but I haven't started yet because I wanted to wait until the whole series was out so that I can binge. So hopefully we don't have that much more of a wait. Well Matched by Jen DeLuca is also supposed to be coming out next year. This is Mitch and April's book, which is the couple that I've been waiting for since I finished Well Met. I actually skipped book 2. I don't think I will end up reading it just because I haven't heard the best things for it, but I'm still really excited about this third couple. Kay Tucker is writing some more books set in the Wild series, but not about Jonah and Kala. Their story is done, but we will be seeing the both of them in these future books. This third book is supposed to be about a different couple. The heroine is Marie, who we've known since the first book in the series. It kind of sounds like her book might be enemies to lovers from what I read in the holiday novella, but I could be wrong. Still, I am looking forward to more Alaska books from K.A. Tucker. And this last one is more of a wishful thinking kind of thing. Katie Robert released the first book in her Bloodline Vampire series in 2020, so I'm hoping the rest of the series will be coming out in 2021, mainly so that I can finally start binging on this series. It sounds fantastic. It's an erotic paranormal romance, vampire romance series, and I just need to be able to read it soon. So for the January sequels, there aren't a lot. I only have one romance sequel plus a young adult adult one, which is pretty surprising, and God knows if I'll even end up reading it. But it is a series that I used to love as a teen, but I'll get into it a bit later. The romance one is called The Architect by Nikki Sloan. This is book 3 in the Nashville Neighborhood series, which I am planning on reading next year. It's been a long time since I last read Nikki Sloan, but I do really want to read her in 2021. One of my goals, I guess. And I own the first 2 books in the series, The Doctor and The Pool Boy. The Architect is a bit of an unconventional romance. We have the heroine and her boyfriend, who is an architect. The boyfriend is always busy with his work, so he has decided to get someone to stand in for himself in the bedroom. It ends up turning into a bit of a love triangle, maybe a menage or a poly kind of romance, but it sounds so intriguing and I just really want to read it. And the young adult one is actually Winterkeep by Kristen Kishore, book 4 in the Graceling series. Graceling was my childhood favorite. I loved Graceling, and honestly the rest of the series was great as well. So the fact that we're getting another book in the series makes my teenage heart so happy. It seems like we're getting more of Bitterblue, who from her own ending didn't really have like a happy ever after. So I'm gonna need that actual ship to finally sail in this book. And then onto all the February releases. There are quite a lot of sequels coming out that month. My most anticipated romance release is Wild Rain by Beverly Jenkins. This is book 2 in the Woman Who Dare series, the sequel to Rebel. It's also a bit of a sequel to Tempest, which was part of the Old West series, because the heroine in Wild Rain is actually the sister of the hero from Tempest. This heroine owns her own ranch and she just sounds really cool. The hero is this reporter who wants to report on her brother and instead finds himself fascinated by her. Another highly anticipated sequel. This one is actually urban fantasy, but it does have this romance that I love. It's Kingdom of Shadow and Light by Karen Marie Moning, book 11 in the Fever series. I love this series so much. It's one of my favorite urban fantasy series, and this is the final book, I believe, for Mac and Barons. As soon as this book is out, I am dropping everything to read it. There is, of course, the next Sarah J. Maas book, book 4 in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Nesta and Cassian's book is A Court of Silver Flames. I do love the series. Well, I mostly just love book 2, but even though I hate this cover, I'm still reading it. I am also excited about First Comes Like by Alisha Rai. This is book 3 in the Modern Love series, and we finally get Gia's book. Her hero is a famous Bollywood superstar, and someone ends up catfishing Gia as him, which leads to a confrontation between Gia and the real Bollywood actor. It just sounds so unique and fun. I really enjoyed the first 2 books, so I probably will end up loving this one too. And then a paranormal romance that I need in February is Wicked All Night by Janine Frost. This is book 3 in the Night Rebel series. I've only read book 1, I still haven't gotten to book 2, but I have been loving Ian and Meredith and I can't wait for more of them. I'm also excited for The Knockout Rule by Kelly Siskind. This is book 4 in the Showman series, though each book in the series can be read as a standalone. I loved book 2, Don't Go Stealing My Heart. It's one of my favorite reads of 2020. It's a sports romance with boxing. The heroine is the daughter of a famous boxer, which means she wants nothing to do with boxing, except this boxing manager seems to be wooing her. What she doesn't know is that this manager is only saying all the right things because he's being coached by the boxer that he's managing. So we have the boxer and the manager falling for the heroine, and she needs to decide who she wants to be with. Seduced by Darkness by Beck McMaster is also coming out in February. This is novella book 1.5 in the Dark Court Rising series. It's a fantasy romance series, kind of Hades and Persephone, but I loved book 1 so much, and this sequel, this novella sequel, is supposed to be the romance told from the hero's point of view, so I cannot wait for this novella. There are also a bunch of historical romances that I have my eye on that are coming out in February. First is Waiting for a Scot Like You by Eva Lee. It's a road trip historical romance. We have a widowed heroine and a stoic Scottish soldier. They're traveling stuck in a carriage together. They're supposed to be the only one bed trope. It just sounds like so much fun, so I need it. Kerrigan Byrne is releasing a book this month. Dancing with Danger is book 3 in the Good Girl series. The series is a spin-off of the Victorian Rebel series, which I adore. The main characters here end up being arrested at a crime scene, even though neither of them committed the crime. crime. The hero is a powerful and ruthless smuggler who ends up being a little bit obsessed with the heroine, so I am all about that. Amali Howard is releasing her second book in the Everly Sisters series. Book 1 was the Beauty and the Beast retelling, but in the Raquel of Roth, we have an already married couple. The hero has apparently kept up this ruse of being a rake even while being married. I'm hoping it's not true, that it's more of just a false reputation, but his wife is tired of all the rumors and gossip, so she wants to leave him, and now she wants to get some revenge against her husband. Moving on to March, my most anticipated read of this month has to be Bitter Secrets by Mia Knight. I have been waiting for the sequel for like 2 years. It's book 2 in the Singh series, the sequel to Bitter Heat. Bitter Heat was one of my favorite books of 2019. It's a dark romance, a second chance romance between a formerly married couple. I have reread Bitter Heat so many times, it's not even funny. It does end on a cliffhanger, so I have been dying for the sequel. At Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert is also releasing in March. I'm the worst and still haven't read book 2, but I loved book 1. I'm so excited for the youngest Brown sister story. She's a bit of a mess and she ends up falling for a bed and breakfast owner. There are 2 historical romances releasing in March that I am so excited about. The first one is another Kerrigan Byrne book. This is the 3rd and final book in the Devil You Know series. We finally get Francesca's book in The Devil in Her Bed. We've gotten a little bit of a hint about what kind of romance and who the hero is from book 2, so that little snippet and tease got me so hyped for this 3rd book. The hero is a secret agent to the crown, and Francesca has her own plan of revenge against the people who murdered her family. I love the first 2 books in the series. Kerrigan Byrne is so good at writing intrigue and historical romance, so I cannot wait for this one. We're also getting another Wilds of Lindo Castle book here, Wild Child by Eloisa James. We finally get Joan's story, who is the wildest of the wild children. The hero, the Viscount, who has appeared in previous books in the series, he becomes her reluctant protector and matchmaker, but I just love that the heroine apparently wants to perform on stage as a prince. And the last March book that I'm excited about is actually an urban fantasy book. It's Wild Sign by Patricia Briggs, book 6 in the Alpha and Omega series. We're back with Anna and Charles in this one. I love them so much. I love their series. It's all about werewolves and I just will never get tired of reading about them. April has 4 sequels that I am so excited about. My most anticipated sequel of this month is probably a lot of other people's most anticipated read of 2021, and that is book 3 of the Blood and Ash series, The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I am obsessed with the series. Book 2, the cliffhanger in book 2 killed me. It's gonna be another huge book, over 600 pages of more Poppy and Cass, and I am probably gonna love every single page of it. The series is fantasy romance with vampires, so if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. We're also getting the next Black Dagger Brotherhood book, Lover Unveiled. This one is apparently about someone named Savage, who is an MMA fighter. I don't remember him. I don't even know if he was actually ever introduced in the series. I haven't really been loving these recent BDB books, but still, I'll probably end up reading this one. We're also getting Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, the one book that I own in paperback so far. This is the 3rd standalone in her Friend Zone series, and the heroine is an actual YouTuber, a famous YouTuber. She ends up getting custody of her niece, and she gets some help from her next door neighbor. This time the dog is an old Chihuahua. There's always a dog in each of Abby's books, and I am so excited to read this one. And then the last sequel that I'm excited about is book 2 in the Keys to Love series, Anchored Hearts by Priscilla Oliveras. Book 1 was cute. I like the setting of Key West, and we're back with this second chance romance with the hero who left the heroine to travel the world, but now he's back, hence the second chance romance. I love this cover so much. It is so cute, so tropical. I would honestly read it based on that cover alone. May has 4 releases that I'm looking forward to. The one I'm most excited about is How to Find a Princess by Alyssa Cole. This is book 2 in her Runaway Royal series, and it's an FF royal romance. It's a queer Anastasia retelling with a long-lost princess and a female investigator who's been hired to track her down. Fearless Like Us by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is book freaking 9 in the Leica series, and this romance is continuing on with Akara, Sully, and Banks's romance, their poly romance. They're getting 3 books. This is book 2. I still haven't read their first book yet. I'm deciding whether I want to wait until all 3 of their romances are out out. Krista and Becca do write really fast, but I'm still just so impatient for them to release their books. Plus, they always have more than one book for each of their couples, so I'll probably end up waiting until they're finished. We're also getting book 2 of the Society of Sirens series by Scarlett Peckham. Even though I didn't love the Ray cast, I'm still excited about this one because I really liked the girl group within the series. I'm not exactly sure which friend this sequel is going to be about, but I'm still excited for it. It's a historical romance, but sadly there is still no title or blurb, so we don't know anything about it. And last, we are getting the next Dream Team book by Kristen Ashley. This third book is Dream Spinner and is supposed to be Hattie and Axel's story. I've been having fun with this series, listening to it in audio. It really does give me old school KA vibes, and I also love seeing characters from the Dream Man series and the Rock Chick series. For June, we have the next Harbinger book by Jennifer L. Armentrout. She's releasing so many books this year. Grace and Glory is the final book in this series. I've been slowly making my way through some of her YA stuff, fantasy stuff, like her Origin series, and then I'm probably gonna end up binging the Harbinger series next, which is why I'm just gonna include it in my list. Olivia Dade has another contemporary romance releasing this month, Slow Burn, which is the second book in her Spoiler Alert series. I've heard such good things about book 1, but I still haven't read it for some reason, but still I'm excited that it's getting a sequel. Moving on to July, my most anticipated read of this month is, you guessed it, the next Lisa Kleypas book, Devil in Disguise. This is book 7 in the Ravenel series. It seemed like it was going to be a standalone, but then they added it to the Ravenel series, even though Chasing Cassandra was supposed to be the last, but I'm not mad about it. We are getting Margus and Lillian's daughter's story, Merritt Sterling, who is a widow, and I think this is the first time we're getting a Scottish hero from Lisa Kleypas. I am dying for this one, and I'm so excited that this is going to be Marcus and Lillian's family story, their kid story. Since we got Evie and Sebastian's kid stories, it was only a matter of time before we got the other couple's kid stories, and also because there is devil in the title, the hero may or may not be somehow related to Sebastian. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, but I do trust that Lisa Kleypas won't hurt our favorite couple, Evie and Sebastian, like that, and that the hero won't be some illegitimate child of Sebastian's. Some people have been wondering that, but I'm just gonna trust in Lisa Kleypas. We are also getting the 5th book in the Side Changeling Trinity series by Nalini Singh. This one is called Last Guard. I'm the worst though. I am such a bad fan. I haven't read book 4 yet, so I'm one book behind, but hopefully I'll catch up before this 5th book releases, and I don't think we know the couple for this book yet. In July, we're also getting the next romance book club book, Isn't It Bromantic by Alyssa K. Adams. Sounds so freaking adorable. It's childhood friends to lovers. They ended up getting married to escape Russia, so it's a marriage of convenience too. And the hero is the Russian, who has been quite the character throughout the series. He apparently joined the romance book club so that he could find a way to get his wife to fall in love with him. So it just sounds adorable. I can't wait for this one. We're getting the next Diana Quincy historical romance in the Clandestine Affairs series. The Viscount Made Me Do It is about Griff. Griff was introduced as the best friend in book 1. His heroine is an Arab bone setter, which is so intriguing, and the two of them meet because Griff is trying to find out who killed his parents, and a tip leads him to this heroine. Last in July is Incense and Sensibility by Sonali Dev. This is book 3 in the Raja series. All the books in the series have been some sort of retelling of a Jane Austen book, and this one of course is Sense and Sensibility. It's also a best friend's brother romance, so I'm looking forward to it. And one of my most anticipated reads of not just August, but the entire year is The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. This is book 3 in the Kiss Quotient series and is Kwan's book. I adore this series so much. We have another neurodivergent contemporary romance in this book. The release date did get pushed back from 2020, so hopefully it's still coming out next year. And then the other 2 books both have dating in the titles. The first one is The Dating Dare, which is book 2 in the Sweet Mess series by jayci. It's another Asian romance. This one, the heroine falls in love with her best friend's new brother-in-law. And then the other dating book is called The Dating Playbook by Farah Rashan. This is the sequel to The Boyfriend Project and is another sports romance. The hero is a former football player who wants to get back into the NFL, so he hires the heroine, who is a personal trainer. And then for some other books releasing later on in 2021, Evie Dunmore is releasing another book in the League of Extraordinary Women series. I love loved book one. It was such a good historical romance, so I'm excited we're finally getting Hattie's story. She ends up in a marriage of convenience and it sounds so good. We're getting another Krista and Becca Ritchie book. Book 10 in the Lyssa series, Infamous Like Us, is the final book for Akara, Sully, and Banks. Milla Vane is releasing her third book in the Gathering of Dragons series, her fantasy romance series. A Dance of Smoke and Steel is about Lena and Saxon, who are introduced in book 2. I was so intrigued by Saxon in the last book, so I am definitely going to be reading this sequel. And then the last sequel of my list that I know of so far is the next Crescent City book by Sarah J. Maas. Even though I didn't love book 1, I'm still gonna end up reading the sequel. I'm just really curious to see more of this world, but hopefully it's not gonna be quite as long as book 1 was. Those were all the sequels on my TBR, on my Goodreads shelf. I'm probably missing a few that I forgot to add, and I'm definitely gonna be adding more once we get into 2021 and authors start announcing more books. But so far, this is what I hope to read next year, and I will be coming out with my most anticipated standalones and new series of 2021 sometime soon, so keep an eye out for that. Let me know if you're excited to read any of these, or if you have your own sequels that I didn't mention that you're planning on reading next year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!